Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a different HavenCraft deck to the last one, while still using a pretty simple Tenko heal engine. This one is, I would say, more leaning towards being destructively powerful with its cards. Again, like I said, very similar in design, only a real couple of card changes, including of course a Heavenly, since it is such a good card, and then of course making sure to have global stairways and stuff. Really, this is more of a modified version to our previous one. If you have watched my previous Haven video, which was focused a little bit more on, I guess, different healing. There's just so many options in the unlimited healing pool, so it's no surprise to mess around with a few, but the basic core of the deck is very similar. Holy Bowman Keel, Tenko Shrine, and heal. That's pretty much all you're aiming to do. So we're going to get right into this and check it out. So right off the bat, our first matchup is going to be against Dragon. Another very popular deck in the current meta, Dragon, of course. I feel like as far as really popular decks go for Unlimited, you know, Shadow, Dragon, Blood, still doing okay. Portal's right up there now, and it's really been shifting around a bit based on, of course, players more than anything, I think. And that's a very solid play from both myself and the opponent. Going for those very early 1-drops makes a huge difference to the tempo of the rest of the game. Servant of Disdain, not really an issue. It's a little bit of a pain, but not really a problem when we're running things like Pegasus Sculpture. The real advantage here is it's going to be hard for them to really take the game in their direction. We're going to pretty much control this the majority of the time and really try and take it for ourselves. And since we don't have much else to do right now, maybe focusing on healing is our best bet. If we can out-heal most damage, that's really going to be the core of our gameplay strategy with this deck. Making sure that your opponent really can't do too much damage, that you can't mitigate with healing. Of course, turn 5 is really awkward for me. I do decide to just take out any bit of healing I can get while trying to get these 6/6s to proc at the same time, since I don't want my board to be literally board locked the entire time. But since turn 6 is most likely just going to be a decree turn based on the current board state, I really wasn't super concerned with their turn 5. It's their turn 6 onwards that will become a problem. But since 4 amulets are going to proc, I think it was worth board locking ourselves that turn. So now we're actually going to be able to proc every single amulet here. That's actually a lot better than I thought initially. It was a bit of a risk. This Dragoon was definitely not something I wanted to deal with. But since we already have the proc to destroy it, it really wasn't a concern again at all, since it was very easily destroyed, and now it's just a matter of healing up enough to avoid another potential threat. I very easily could have went for Gem Princess, but did decide against it in the end. Just kind of take the game with these big bodies, which turned out to work quite effectively with this deck. And now for game 2, we are going up against Shadow. Definitely one of the decks I still consider the strongest in Unlimited. I don't see that ever changing as far as it goes, just because Demon Lord is absolutely insane. They've got so many other really good mid-range cards, and they just keep getting added every expansion, unless they take a huge either nerf again like they used to, or if they obviously stop printing mid-range and more of it can rotate out, then it might drop off a bit. But overall, Shadow is nearly always a safe bet in Unlimited. Again, starting off with a good turn 1 is always what we want, so the Globe is always perfect line of play. I only tend to discard cards if they are 3+, depending on what they are, typically from our starting hand. So our opponent's really going for this now, and that I don't like much. Having to deal with a reanimate Shadow is a little more awkward than dealing with a mid Shadow, Mid Shadow is very similar to Sword and Blood and Dragon, where damage is their predominant win condition, whereas Reanimate Shadow is more about just slamming the big bodies, making it almost impossible to be dealt with in any kind of effective or meaningful way. Now Warden play, that's actually okay. That's going to be an instant removal. Basically a free turn to drop a Tenko. And Death's Breath, when you've got a Tenko and a Repair. So this is why I really like Repair in this deck. So our best bet would be to hit one of them. Ideally, I probably shouldn't have went for Holy Water and should have went for Repair instead. That would have both healed us perfectly and not set us up to be a little high on draw. But should still work. I mean, Decree plus another Repair. Getting in a little bit more damage. And I was initially trying to set up for a big swing turn with the Holy Bow, but this kind of slowed me down a little bit. I wasn't looking forward to having to deal with being slowed down. So Holy Water, hoping for a 2-hit on the 4-5. Unfortunately, we missed gloriously, so the next best option I had was to go for a Gem Princess. Even though with the Evo it is going to heal them right back up to max, so a little disappointing, but it does mean at least my entire turn wasn't a waste. And now things get a little more interesting. We're now able to do some pretty crazy Holy Bow play here. Setting ourselves up for massive amounts of damage to face. I believe this is 16. If I was able to get one more healing source out that turn, we would have easily had a lethal. But either way, worked out very well. So I do think overall, as far as say a Tenko line of play, this deck does a lot better in that sense. I think they definitely have similar but different strengths. So this one's healing is quite aggressive, while the other one's healing seems to be more prolonged long-term healing. This one, once you kind of burned through that initial White Fang Temple Pegasus sort of part of your deck, the rest of the healing is pretty negligible and not super impactful usually. Usually these guys are the big ones because of course they are free healing turn after turn, where the others will cost you, so it's hard to do anything else other than heal in those situations, although it still runs, you know, more healing than almost any other possible deck out there other than other Haven decks, so still very impressive and very powerful. And having those late game options definitely helps the deck along. So if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. You'll find this deck list in the description below. Until next time guys, see ya.